All right, so here's part two. So we went down on basically how the record labels work and everything. Then you got Suge, sitting there threatening old white man who's the chair of Universal. It's like, oh shit, here we go. So that brings us into the segment of the street level. So now we're dealing with the street level. Suge is, you got two CEOs going at it. Sean Diddy Combs and, Mary and Suge Knight or whatever. We got these motherfuckers going at it, because of, power struggles and, it was a death and everything like that. And I forgot that, Suge came by himself, to JD's party. And Puff showed up with all, his whole squad pretty much or whatever. But so now we're getting on the street level or whatever, and this is the level that everybody seems to be infatuated with or, claims to relate to the most or whatever. So this is the more believable part about it, of what happened here and there and everything. And for this example, I love to use Kurt Kobane, because this was somebody who was on the inside of the Death Row family. Like, he was inside the inner circle. So that means that his stories weren't just in the studio, like they were outside as well. Just like, Danny Boy or whatever, and he said he was jumped in or whatever and, considered to be, one of them, like he was a made man or whatever, Like I said, the beef between Puffy and Suge starts when Jake gets shot, by Wolf, Puff Daddy's security personnel, whatever. So we have two individuals represented by these corporations, and this is how, the streets got poured into everything. But, to me, it was just much bigger than that. When it's confirmed by Kurt Kobane and Danny Boy that there were actually bounties on Death Row chains, but the question is that I have, which is probably clear, but the question I have is this before or after Dre left, and the Dog Pound started beefing with Suge and his people. So I'd say after, like it was a green light on Death Row artists after that, especially after Snoop and his camp said, pretty much fuck Suge or whatever. And Daz even said, like, we was on our fuck Suge shit, whatever. So, there was bounties and everything like that, and whoever rode with Suge, they can get it too. And, including Tupac and, for counterintelligence, this was right up their alley or whatever, because even Jimmy Iovine said, like, he told them to, like, hire real police officers. He said, you guys need to hire real security, because he got tired of coming into the studio and seeing all of these gangbanging niggas just sitting there or whatever. He's like, I can't do this no more. He's like, you guys need to hire real police officers. And then Jimmy Iovine says out of his own mouth, he was like, but I find out these motherfuckers were Rampart. So Danny Boy and Kurt Kobane also confirmed that they were being threatened on a daily basis, and also, like, Kurt Kobane said, like, a lot of people, they just have studio stories, which is cool. We love to hear those memories, in the studio or whatever, because that's where all our favorite songs and, things that we admire about the music comes from, is in the studio, but Kurt Kobane has much more of a broader perspective, and I also noticed during the Vlad TV interview with Danny Boy, as soon as he starts talking about the feds and police raiding, the offices and Death Row and everything like that, then he edits the shit. And I can't stand that shit about Vlad, because Vlad is he's just one-sided. He wants to pay attention to one side of the narrative. He doesn't want to be objective. I just think he just needs to shut the fuck up when it comes to the Tupac situation. Like, you don't want to know nothing. Like, you want to be told, what you want to hear. That's what you want to hear. You don't want to ask the other questions. Like I said, he's not going to interview John Potash. He's not going to interview Anybody else on that side with objective, he's not going to interview RJ. He's not going to give them that type of shine of light because it gives people a different perspective, you know. But I just wish he would just shut the fuck up on the situation. He just sounds dumb when he's talking about it or whatever. And anybody he's talking about it to, you know. Then he was like, I remember he was like, oh, well, Death Row was still popular because, Dre was still there. After Tupac died, Dre was still there. And he says it with such conviction. And Danny Boy's like, Dre been gone, dude. What are you talking about? What you mean it was still popular because Dre was there? Dre been gone, And I also feel like, if Suge could rap like Birdman, Master P, and, other CEOs, and he would have dissed Puffy himself, but he put that on Tupac, and Tupac rolled with it or whatever. Before beefing with Bad Boy, like I said, in a wrestling analogy, it would have been like Raw versus SmackDown, or WCW versus NWO, Raw versus SmackDown, but they're both under the WWE umbrella, But, everybody was under the same umbrella. And we're talking about street dudes beefing within this higher tax bracket. Like this is well beyond what you can fathom, what a different tax bracket is or whatever. So there definitely was street activity going on, but, not enough to pull down corporations. And like I said, you got Sugar over here threatening old white men, old white chairmen and everything like that. And them needing security because Suge, he can't go here and he can't go there. He's fucking around. He doing too much or whatever, And you remember, the FBI had a probe on Death Row since its inception, according to, Kevin Hackey or whatever, and these corporations, we're not gonna let these street Negroes pull our companies down or whatever, so. Now, finally, debunking Greg Kading and his theories once and for all. Once and for all, we're debunking Greg Kading. And I'm going to tell you why. Tupac was a target on a bigger and much larger, wider scale. I don't care what nobody says. It's too much evidence. There's too much stuff out there to support it, and I'm going to tell you why. Now, John Potash, I used to call him Potash or whatever, but it's Potash. John Potash's theory, Kurt Kobane said it the best. He said it the best. This is the first piece of evidence. Kurt Kobane said that in the meeting with Suge after the shooting, and they had that big old meeting with the artists and security, Frank said that it looked like a police hit. That's what Kurt Kobane said. I didn't say that. That's what Kurt Kobane said. And why would Kurt Kobane lie about something like that? I mean, he's been sincere in what he was talking about and his passion for everything and everything that led up to this moment and everything like that. In those moments, he said that Frank Alexander said that it looked like a police hit. Now, you guys got to understand, these people, you have to get it through your heads. You have to get it through your head. Tupac shot police officers. In 1993, he shot police officers. Not only did he shoot police officers, but he shot white police officers, and they were from the South. You have to get that through your head. Take all the gang banging shit out for a second. Tupac shot white police officers. Let me shoot a white police officer in 2020 or 1993. It's still going to be a green light nationwide. They're gunning for me, no matter what I do. It doesn't matter what Tupac did after that. He shot police officers. They said that his songs made some teenager or some kid or something shoot a state trooper because of his music. They're gunning after him. And, they were talking about they were going to use the resources to get to him and start gunning for him. Then they said Tupac had a goddamn case in every state. How the fuck do you have a case in every state? I mean, all 50 states? I mean, that's what it sounds like. That's what you're saying. Like, he had a case in every state. Or they say damn near every state. I'm like, damn, 50 states with Rhode Island. How the hell do you get a case in Rhode Island? Did he have a case in Rhode Island? I don't know. Vermont, New Hampshire, Connecticut, Montana, North and South Dakota? You know, and I don't want to get into the Tupac alive theory because some people that just think we're just crazy. It's like, oh, you guys miss him so much that you wish he was here, that you want him to be alive. It's like, I don't give a damn if Tupac is alive or not. It does nothing for me. I'm just pointing in the directions where all this evidence is pointing. That's all I'm doing. But I don't want to spend no time on the Tupac alive theory. Like, I've already said what I had to say and how shit doesn't make sense with this and everything like that. You know, some people say like he's dead as a doorknob. He's dead. That's what he is. He's dead. His family wouldn't lie. His family wouldn't sit there and say, oh, he's dead. Well, if I got some real ass family and people are trying to kill me, I would expect for my family to say, yes, he's dead. Why would they come out and say, yeah, he faked his death? Why would his family say that? Why? I mean, please tell me, why would his family come out and say, yeah, he's alive? So whoever's gunning for him can come and get him? Yes, I'm gonna expect my mama. I'm gonna expect my auntie. I'm gonna expect my mentors, my brother, and everybody to say, yes, he's dead. Because you're not gonna look for me because I'm dead. So you have nothing to worry about or whatever, you know, but that's just one of the other theories why I think somebody would fake their death. It's like, who the hell wants to live like that? I mean, come on, think about that shit. Think about it. Who wants to live? You got a case in every state. What type of fucking way is that to live, especially at 25 years old? Every time you go somewhere, you're going to another state and you have to go here to court. And then you got to go there to court. And then you got to go up here to court. And then you got to go back down here to court. Nobody wants to live like that. But like I said, that's another story. I don't want to spend any time on that right now. And then another thing that baffles me, which I have to piggyback off of what I just said, is that people said that Tupac was all swollen up like a pumpkin, or to the point where he was unrecognizable. So then he dies, right? So he's swollen up like a pumpkin, you know, however many days or whatever. But I've swollen up my hands plenty of times. I've swollen up my foot, and it didn't go down in no damn 7 days. I mean, it would start to succeed. I mean, it would start exceeding down, you know, or whatever. But the swelling just didn't go away just like that. So he dies. So how the hell did all of a sudden all of this swelling go down in time for him to take an autopsy photo where he looks perfectly fine, where he's like his normal shape? But according to eyewitnesses, like Danny Boy and other people who saw him, they said he was swollen up like a pumpkin. His head was swollen up. He was all just looked out of shape, and he didn't look like himself. I mean, when you hear stuff like that, that's the only reason why people like me say like, okay, what the fuck then? So what are we seeing on this autopsy? Like, you mean to tell me that the swelling, his whole body just unswole in time for him to take this picture? It's like, it pisses me off because, like I said, this is people playing on intelligence or whatever. Can't stand it. I don't like it. Like, I understand if you have a narrative, because you can't switch your narrative. Like, you've already chosen what you're going to say, so you can't fall back on it because now everybody's going to question your credibility. So, but when you hear stuff like that, if Tupac was swollen up like a melon or a pumpkin or whatever, then we should see that in the autopsy photo. That's all I'm saying, you know. But Kurt Kobane and Danny Boy also said that they were getting death threats by phone saying we didn't finish the job. Now, if Orlando Anderson and his camp shot Tupac, why wasn't Keefe D, or why hasn't Keefe D mentioned once out of all the interviews that he's done that say, yeah, we called up there and we said we didn't finish the job and we're going to take care of the job? Greg Kading's a fucking liar. He's a liar. And that's why he's been debunked, because these are eyewitnesses who were saying this, that they were getting death threats. They had to guard the entire first floor. They said, yeah, we know where we at. We know where he's at. We ain't finished the job. We finna come finish the job. That don't sound like no damn gangbangers to me. According to Greg Kading, these motherfuckers shot Tupac and they left. They got the hell out of Dodge. They were on their way back to California. They weren't worried about calling up to the hospital talking about, oh, we didn't finish the job. We're going to come back and finish the job. Debunked. I mean, it's as simple as that right there. You know, like I said, KVD doesn't mention any of this. He doesn't mention any of this. You know, and it just further supports like RJ's and RJ Bonds and John Potash's, you know, theories about, because, you know, if you merge both of those together, it's just like, oh, okay. Yeah, it makes a whole lot of sense then. And then it's like, you know, like I said, all these people who ain't from California, even some people from California, but most for the most part, people who are not from California, never been here, never lived here, never spent any experience out here. The only thing they came out here to do is visit or whatever. If you know about gangbangs, if you know about Crips and Bloods and everything like that, I don't give a damn if they go out of town or not. They not finna be kicking it by themselves. They're not finna do that. So all that whole Orlando Anderson kicking it by himself, he went there with his homies. If you gangbanging, you would at least one of your homeboys. You're not finna be kicking it by yourself, because you never know when you might run into a rival from somewhere else. They might be out of state or something like that and just have something against you because you out of state or whatever. But you might run into a rival or whatever, and then you're going to be caught by yourself. Gangbangers don't do that. They just don't do that. In California, you live in California and you know, and you grew up here, you lived here, that doesn't happen. They always rolling with somebody. And, you know, Greg Kading, he also ignores clear evidence. What is this evidence? The Frank Alexander tapes. Yes, the Frank Alexander tapes, which says a whole lot. And it says a whole lot that was going on within death row. Greg Kading doesn't care or fails to mention, and he can't debunk it or whatever, but he doesn't mention anything about the Frank Alexander tapes. That's physical evidence right there. Those calls that were being made to Frank tells you a lot without saying a whole lot. So, you know, pretty much there clearly was a hit on Suge. By who, we don't know. We don't know yet, you know. I mean, RJ, I believe RJ's theory or whatever, but, you know, this could have came. I mean, he was threatening old white men, you know, chairmen and Universal. I mean, shit, anybody could have put a hit out on him, you know, and it could have been done within, you know, his organization or whatever. I mean, even Reggie said, oh, he got a tip that, you know, they were about to kidnap him and do this and everything. Suge didn't believe it, blah, blah, blah. But there was a hit on him, you know, but in Tupac's case, he had his own hit by other entities. Now, you have to listen to the Sanika Shakur phone call between him and Tupac, a.k.a. Monster Cody. You listen to that. Listen to the interview. Tupac says out of his own mouth what he was trying to do, how he was trying to organize politically. He set out this whole blueprint. If you listen closely of what he was trying to do, which further supports John Potash's theory. Tupac says out of his own mouth that the A-Team is the one that shot him. He didn't say nothing about Biggie or Puffy, although they may have had knowledge of it, you know, especially according to Mutai, aka Napoleon. Like, they had knowledge of him, but didn't say anything. But, you know, Tupac, you know, you're just as guilty as like shooting me if you knew I had to say nothing or whatever. But he knows who shot him. But he caught it at the last minute. You know, listen to the phone conversation. Tupac mentions how the movement was first, you know, and gangbanging was second for him, because, you know, he was trying to do the movement and then put the gangbanging second, because he never thought another black man would shoot him. So now he has to put the gangbanging first and then the movement second. So he was trying to bang. Of course, he was trying to bang, but it was still to politicize and to bring all these motherfuckers together for, like, it was a truce. It was a 1992 truce between the Crips and Bloods or whatever, and Tupac, whether he had to bang with these niggas or not. Like, I don't think he chose any sides or whatever, you know. And this goes back to, Nutso's trying to tell y'all that mob in the North means something different. Tupac spun most of his time in Northern California. And it's easy for a dumbass motherfucker, a Happy Meal thinking, simple-minded, elementary thinking motherfucker to get the mob Pyru mixed up with mobbing in the North just because he was kicking it with mob Pyrus from Compton. But he's from the North. MC Hammer can tell you this. He's from the North. We mobbing. They mobbing up here. Y'all don't know that lingo. It's a whole nother dialect. It's a whole different dialect or whatever. But in this phone conversation, Tupac he's speaking about nothing but politics in this phone call. He was definitely going into politics. I mean, he mapped out everything. I mean, he even asked, Sanika Shakur, he was like, hey man, give me that overstand. Like, how do you tell me about the overstanding? So that they're dropping knowledge on each other and everything. And Tupac is literally sitting there laying out his blueprint for probably the next 5 years on what he wants to do, because he was finna step away from hip hop. He was finna step away from the music. And like the Outlaw said, like the only time that he was going to come back and do something if it was on them, if it was on their stuff or whatever. Tupac is speaking nothing but politics in this phone call. Nothing but politics. I don't understand why Monster Cody recorded that phone call. That is still unknown. I would like to know like how that came about, or what was the decision, for him to record that phone call. But it was good. It was still good or whatever. But that tape probably could have gotten to the wrong hands. There was no camera, there was no press, there was no PR. This was just a conversation between two men. So we knew what Tupac's intentions was, what his plans were, so you mash all of this together, and some people, they'll mash all of this together, made into the simplest, lowest elementary thinking of a conclusion that it was a gang shooting. It was a simple gang shooting. Even after hearing all that evidence, after hearing all of this evidence from witnesses and everything like that, they'll say, oh no, Orlando Anderson still did it. But I just said Orlando Anderson did not call up to the hospital and say, oh yeah, we didn't finish the job and we know what floor he's on. Keefe D never mentioned it. So Greg Kading's a fucking liar. And he's been debunked. Anybody who believes him is a dumbass too. Nobody mentions Orlando Anderson going up the escalator besides Kurt Kobane. And according to Kurt Kobane, Orlando Anderson was going up an escalator. Pac said something to him. He started coming back down. Oh shit. Okay. And most people just said, oh, Tupac just went over there and punched him. We got Suge hanging out with Puff's baby mom, and Pac, hanging with Mary J. Blige and everything like that. And Pac wanted to, at the last minute, like, Greg Nice said, like Greg Nice is the one that pretty much set up that whole One Nation thing, because Tupac thought everybody was mad at him on the East Coast because of what he was saying. But he had only like beef with certain East Coast rappers or whatever. He didn't have a beef with the whole East Coast. So Greg Nice was like, Pac was like, I got to get this right. I got to make this right. But it was a little too late at the end. Like, I just think that he caught it at the end where it's like, damn, and then Puff, pretty much probably stepped to the side and let the powers that be handle things, because they already had it in for Pac any goddamn way. And they definitely had it in for Suge. Like I said, Suge is fucking threatening old white men, old white chairman or whatever. Tupac had his own assassination in the line, and it more than likely came from intelligence. Anti-revolutionary agents, more than likely, that stem from COINTELPRO. I mean, like, John Potash says, like 9 days after David Kenner is fired, who's the real CEO of Death Row, after he's fired, 9 days later, then Tupac gets shot. That's not a coincidence. Come on. So if you listen carefully to that phone call, the way the way that Pac is talking, the way it's recorded, there was no way If that tape got into the wrong hands and they were like, no, there's nowhere we're gonna let him go into politics. There's nowhere we're gonna let him do this. There's that. No, we need to stop him, and we need to stop him now. I mean, look at the rally that he spoke at in 1996 at the little brotherhood thing when he was talking about the propositions and how important it was to vote and, you know, go into the local government like that. He was talking about all of that. He was talking about changing stuff. And if they didn't want to do this, then we gonna do this. We gonna go to these mayors. We gonna start talking to them about this. We gonna regulate our own communities. What other rapper do you know has been doing that since then? Or who was doing that? I mean, it's cool to put it in your raps and everything like that, but Tupac was actually doing it. He was actually going to take action or whatever. And these people said, nope, that's not happening. We're not going to have no other Malcolm X Negro running around here. Nope. Take him out. You know, what other rapper that, you know, that's talking about who's sensible, who's mindful, talking about running for office and talking about politics, changing local laws and government and stuff like that. I mean, look at the Malcolm X dinner speech. Look at that interview. I mean, that speech he gave. Look at any speech that Tupac has made and tell me that he was not a threat. Who else has done it ever since him? Done it just like that in that fashion. And finally, like I said, David Kenner had knowledge of all of this and probably assisted in on it. So I'm never going to rule him out. Never going to rule him out. He had something to do with something. He had knowledge about something. Like I said, he got fired. 9 days later, Tupac gets shot. We're talking about corporations. We're talking about big business. And whether or not that they wanted to keep everything in line, it didn't matter. This wasn't no gang shooting, y'all. It had nothing to do with no gang banging. It was some gang banging shit going on, but it had nothing to do with no gang banging. Gang banging has never scratched anything when it comes to the corporate world. Never made a dent or a scratch in anything. So stop talking about his gang banging. But David Kenner definitely had knowledge. He assisted and probably executed the propositions and the requests of certain individuals to take out Tupac. Knew exactly where he was going to be, knew who he was going to be with, had everything. And other people conspired too, along with off-duty police officers, agents, covert agents, maybe the FBI, maybe CIA. We don't know. We can just speculate or whatever, but we do know for a fact that there wasn't no damn gangbanging. So, Greg Kading, you're debunked. And that's it. Finito.